Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at SuperCross Circuit for the PlayStation 1 that was released in 1999 by 989 Studios, which was actually a Sony in-house development company. It was later rebranded under a different brand name as the years went on. So this was kind of primarily some of the earlier titles. This development studio was also known to create also the Siphon Filter series of games. So they were trying their hand at a load of different type of titles. So they tried their hand at motocross. I'd actually heard of it back in the day, but I never actually played it. Again, I have actually played a lot of motocross games on the PlayStation. I actually own quite a few of them. Some of them were actually really good, some of them probably not so good, but they were worth looking into anyway. So actually having the chance to actually play this here now for the first time when I was recording this video was actually a good experience, because actually it's actually not a bad game. It's not easy. These games are never easy. That's the thing about them, but they actually are genuinely all good fun. But the one thing I do notice, like even going back, when I look back over the years of playing these type of games, the PlayStation was no different even to modern titles. There is an absolute ton of these type of games. It's like they just completely just throw them out every year, and you get so many development companies trying their hand at these type of titles, or even the likes of, on modern consoles, THQ would literally just re-release versions of the likes of their own motocross series, but they were just rehashes with pretty much just updated physics and just the same levels over and over again. They just constantly kept redoing the same thing, but again they keep selling, so they keep doing it that way. So you could see where a lot of companies were coming in with the likes of these type of titles, again because they were popular back in the day, so they obviously did sell, because motocross is actually a big popular extreme sports brand. So, and it is a very popular thing anyway, so it is pretty cool to see these type of games. Now, again, I'm just a big fan of racing games, and I do like even off-road racing games, and having actually played a few of these over the years, I actually did enjoy them. One of the very first motocross games I ever played on the PlayStation was actually International Moto X. I actually have done a previous video of it. I'll leave a link in the description. Now, it's not the best title, but I actually enjoyed it. It's very basic in terms of the graphics. Graphically, it wouldn't be as good. This here is definitely a better, graphically superior game to it, and it's definitely a lot faster. But the cool thing that the International Moto X had is it had its own unique track editor, so I actually had a lot of fun with that, and that was actually one of the highlights of the game. So what it lacked in some areas, it made up for in others. So this here game actually primarily is very, very similar to that, and I have played other ones on the PlayStation as well. Like, there were some really good ones and some definitely not so good. I'll leave a link down in the to a playlist that I made down in the description, so you can see a lot of the games that I have actually played in the past, and even that I'm currently playing so far, so you can see what you think for yourself. The one thing I will admit with these type of games that actually does annoy me, because I actually do enjoy them, and to be honest, it's the exact same in even modern games today. I've played a lot of modern games over recent years, and they all have the same problem. Whenever they're being developed, they all use the same kind of programming technique where they use rubber banding, which means that no matter how much skill, no matter how good you are at racing in the game, very, very seldom will you ever actually win a race, or will you actually be able to win a race by a legitimate margin, because the rubber banding technique will make sure that the computer AI is always within reach of you. They'll always be within a couple of, maybe a second, maybe 2 seconds behind you at all costs. So the second you slow down or make any sort of mistake, you're gone, and if they get past you, you will not catch them. So these games here are notorious for using that technique, which I don't understand, and I think the developers really should stop doing that, because it's just very frustrating. Because if you're going to race a game, and if you're going to win a race outright through your own skill, then it deserves so, not to be robbed pretty much, like, because the computer decides it's not going to let you win and decides to just pretty much cheat in its own way. But then again, I'm just going off on a rant here, because I had so many frustrating moments playing these games over the years where you'd be way ahead, and then someone literally just out of nowhere would just pass you at the finish line when you were literally like 5 seconds ahead, and then literally within 2 seconds they'd pass you, and you're wondering how's that even possible. But that's just the way these games are. Unfortunately, the reality with playing a lot of these games is, even though they're fun, they're tricky and they're fiddly, but it will take a few attempts before you might get one good run where the computer decides not to actually take it upon themselves to actually try and pass you out, where you might actually be able to beat them. And that's just the way it is. Especially more so with these type of tracks here, when you're indoor type of tracks on these motocross games, these tend to be the worst. They're the hardest ones to probably beat, because if they get ahead of you at all, like you see here, you will not catch them. It doesn't matter what you do. It's pretty much game over. But aesthetically, the game is actually very good. I have to say, like, I think, in my opinion, it's one of the better looking motocross games that was released on the PlayStation. Again, I didn't know too much about it back in the day, because at the time it was released, there was obviously a flood of other these type of games starting to come out on the market, and even after that. So this game probably never got the recognition that it actually deserved in a lot of ways. But actually, having played it, it is actually a decent game. It handles actually really well. It is a bit fiddly. Again, the computer AI does tend to play havoc with your positions in the race and so forth, but that's just a common gripe with these games. There's no way that that's going to change anytime soon, because they still do it today, even in modern games. So it's definitely a prevailing thing. But if you decide to stick with it and actually get the hang of it, like what I did, I started playing a few races when I was making this video, and the more I actually started to play it, the more I actually started to really like it, and I got a feel for the controls, and it is actually a decent game. The tracks, they're very long, I will admit. It takes a while to even get through even a single lap on the courses, but it definitely offers a very good and definitely adequate but difficult challenge at the same time. But it's like with a lot of these games, you get out of it what you're willing to put in. It's totally up to yourself. You can play it casually, or you can go all in on it. It's totally up to yourself. I've learned to myself over the years to literally just play these games casually, not to allow myself to get too frustrated with them, because they can annoy you if you let them. So it's better just to play it as a casual thing. Just have a couple of races and then put it down and then go back to it again at some other point. That's how I find you get the most fun out of it. But it is what it is. It is actually, funny enough, it is actually a fun title. It's definitely, I think, one of the better kind of motocross games that did appear on the PlayStation back in the day, both graphically and in terms of actually how it handled. It's just, it is a difficult game. But that's just the reality of it. But if you do like motocross games, which I'm sure a lot of you do, because there is a lot of them out there, I definitely recommend that you check out SuperCross Circuit for the PS1. Because it is actually a decent title, and you'll definitely get something out of it, especially if you're a fan of this type of genre. Again, there's loads of these type of games on most consoles. I kid you not, I can't believe the amount of games that actually came out. And on the PS1 in general, like, there was especially towards the end of the PlayStation 1's journey, there was an absolute ton of these games that actually were released. It's quite incredible, actually. But again, it's a big franchise, it's a very popular genre, so yeah, they're always going to try and jump in on and see what they can do. So, but every game's different, every game's unique, it appeals to different audiences. It's totally up to yourself what you think of it, but I do recommend you give it a go if you are into these type of motocross games, to see what you think for yourself. So what are your thoughts on SuperCross Circuit for the PlayStation 1? Did you play it back in the day? If so, did you enjoy it? And what are your thoughts on it? Be sure to share them down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, and make sure to share the video, as I will be re-exploring a lot of these old, unique, classic but also quirky type games that were released on the PlayStation, and sharing my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.